We are live. Welcome, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the Striving to Thriving LinkedIn Live show. And we are here just talking about how we have redefined success. And I am so excited about our panel today. I'm your host, Barbara Ellison. I'm founder of Wellness Playroom for the best version of you. And I just love the fact that we can all come together and talk about what we do, how we serve, who we want to make an impact in their lives. And so I am so excited to talk to you, my good friend and buddy who I've known for several years, Dr. Heather Tucker. Heather, welcome to the show. And I would love to hear you introduce all of your guests.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much, Barbara, for hosting us and having this amazing time, especially in this time. I feel like there was a need for this message, even though it's Eclipse Monday, to be able to share this. So we're talking about redefining success as a woman entrepreneur and a military spouse. So I'm Dr. Heather Tucker, Barbara's amazing special guest, and I brought some amazing dear friends of mine that I can't wait to be able to share them with you. And one of the reasons why I knew that this was something that was such a big need, I want to share with you a couple of statistics. One is that we have about 25 to 30 veterans per day committing suicide. Then we also have about 85% of combat veterans who have multiple marriages, blended families, right? And so I'm Dr. Heather Tucker, and I talk about business and life harmony, how to create peace on all sides. Because we never want to get so busy making a living that we forget to make a life. And it's possible to work smarter, not harder, and create our own time, money, and emotional freedom. And for those of you who are entrepreneurs, we also want to bring awareness that being a military spouse or military or veteran spouse just has a little bit more requirements of resiliency, courage, and things that need to be able to come to the forefront. So it's like, what's really great is we do not look like what we've been through. And the beautiful part of that is because our journey that we have is really a big testament to where we're called to be. So you're going to hear a little bit about me. I'll share with you about my spouse and my husband. I'll let each of these ladies also share about them and their spouse as well. So my husband, he was blown up 8 times in Iraq and Afghanistan. He is a Purple Heart Marine Corps veteran. He did 2 tours in Iraq and Afghanistan and came back with post-traumatic stress. And for those of you who may not know what post-traumatic stress is, there's all variations of it. Even a civilian can have post-traumatic stress. But being on the front lines 2 straight years in infantry really caused a lot of anxiety, a lot of we could be okay one moment and not okay the next. And what I knew was that I wasn't really able, especially in the early on time, because I met him post-service, right? So when he says I have post-traumatic stress, I was like, oh, that's great. But I had no idea what it was until we got married. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times, even having kids in that as well could create even more complexity. So I'm living the mom, the wife, and the CEO life. And one of the reasons why I went into entrepreneurship was so therefore I could not only have that ability to live my purpose, passion, and prosperity, but also to be able to really be present with my loved ones. And so that was my motivation. I want to hear so I'm going to introduce each one of these amazing ladies, and I want you to be able to share who you are, how you serve, tell us a little bit about your spouse, and then we're going to get into a really kind of great conversation. Okay. Let me first introduce, I'll go on the line, Vanessa Donaldson. Vanessa, hi.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, ladies. Thanks for having me. This is just like an extension of what we all do. We probably all have military circles that we bond with. It's an instant connection. So to be in this space right now is just awesome. Thank you so much for inviting us. So what I do, Vanessa Donaldson, I'm a military spouse transition expert is what I say. And I don't have my van photo behind me. It's usually a back screen with the van life because we do a lot of van lifing too. So for me, this whole redefining success in life, it really is like a second season for me in the military because we were in the military. I met my husband in Africa when I was in the Peace Corps. He was Marine security guard and we were in our 20s. I was just coming out of college and I was building wells, living in a mud hut with sand floors. And, if you want more of that story, that's in this book collaboration I did on finding love, loving yourself, loving others. And then moving on from that into military marriage. We've been married 27 plus years now. So yeah, he served 22 years in the Marine Corps, 5 deployments, IED explosion, blown up, all that stuff. So when Heather's talking, it's like we hear these stories and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm not alone. I'm not the only one with a similar story. And I help veterans now with their VA disability claims. That's kind of my a passion, to help these vets get the funding they deserve. They don't take care of their paperwork when they get out. And so I'm there to hold their hand through the process. I'm an affiliate for a third-party company called Medical. So I do that. And then my ministry is working with military spouses and just life coaching them, helping them with that season of transition. I say, I have a flower in my hair. People are watching the video, helping military spouses bloom wherever they're planted. And I want them to thrive in their retirement years. I want you to wake up when you're out of the service with your spouse by your side, laying in that bed on the pillow going, we have a whole new future to create. And I want to help them create that dream. What do you see for yourself in your next season? The military is not telling you where to go, what to do anymore, what to wear, how to eat, when to eat, none of that. What do you want to create for yourself? So for us, we've created a digital nomadic lifestyle and doing the van life and consulting with that and helping vets. It's all kind of coming together in this season.
Nice. Oh, thanks so much for sharing, Vanessa. Yay, yay. And you'll be hearing more about from her too, as well as we go. Next, I want to introduce the amazing Ricky Smith. And what I'll share on Ricky is that we had the pleasure of having her on the Freedom Friday show. And she also has an amazing Faith on Friday show that I had the pleasure to be on. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about you. Tell us about who you are, how you serve, so therefore we can get a little more taste and see of you.
Not a problem. My name is Ricky Smith. I'm super excited to be here. Thank y'all anyway. And I'm in El Paso, Texas. Anybody watching knows Fort Bliss is here. Enough said. I am legacy military. Both my parents were in the Air Force. I went into the Army. I married a retired military veteran, and my son just retired 18 months or so ago from the Army. So it is not just what I do. It is truly a lifestyle. My husband and I, come June, we will be married 25 years. What? Yes, it's possible, even in the military. It's a thing. I have 2 businesses. I am an author, a public speaker. I own a training company where we train soft skills to corporate, large associations, small businesses, and individuals looking to up their small skills status, whether it's in leadership, public speaking, communications for leaders. We do that. And I'm also a YouTube host, a YouTube creator. I have a YouTube channel called Faith on Friday, that we've had for 7 years. And every week, every Friday, we put out a video. As a speaker and an author, I am everywhere doing all the things all the time. Yes, I sleep. I wrote it down. It's in my calendar because as a military spouse, if it's not in the calendar, it ain't going to happen. So I have sleep and eat in there. So I do a lot of things, but I'm an avid volunteer. I'm a member of my church. I do so many things, all of which I need to be everything that other people need me to be. And you understand this concept as a spouse, you are truly every woman. You already know whatever they need, you need to figure out how to make it happen. And you have to do that at every duty station. So super excited to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, Ricky, thanks so much for sharing about your wisdom and all that you do. Thank you for your service. So yay, yay, yay. We're going to look forward to hearing more from you as well. And then our third panelist, an amazing lady. I can't wait till y'all hear her wisdom as well. Katie Kumeyer. Did I make sure I said that right?
Kellmeyer.
Okay, I was close. All right.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful name.
You're good.
So Katie, go ahead and share with us about you and how you serve and your background and your connection with the military spouse. So forth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. I am Katie, and it is Kellmeyer. It's German. It is my maiden name because I am divorced. I did spend almost, not quite, just shy of 20 years supporting my now ex-husband while he was in the Army. He was military intelligence, which I know everybody says is an oxymoron, but they still. He did multiple deployments. He was an interrogator. And I'm not sure exactly how much more I'm allowed to share due to what he did, but I am also primary caregiver to my adult disabled son, which is when you're in the military, you know, everybody's got issues, everybody's got their things. It's completely different when it comes down to being a child of a military sponsor. So, but yeah, what I do now, I am an online business manager. I am the head, or I guess I actually say the happy squirrel herder at Omni Media Designs. It's a business I created 11 years ago in the midst of one of our trauma situations in the family, and knowing that at some point I was going to have to support myself and my kids due to some stuff that was going on in the marriage. And so yeah, now I help other women specifically build their entrepreneurial business. So no matter where they are in life, I'm the one. When I started that business, there was nobody out there to give me the step-by-step process of how to build an entrepreneur. And so I do that for other women, because there's tons of people out there telling you need this, you need that, but nobody tells you specifically to do this, then this, then this. And that's what I do at Omni Media Designs, whether it's building that website, creating that lead magnet, whatever it might be. I want to make sure that women, no matter, as somebody put it, no matter where they land, that they are able to thrive as opposed to just surviving. So whether you stay married as a military spouse, or like me, you end up on the other side of it, you are still capable of owning the power that you hold, whether you're married or not, that you can build a business, that you can go from surviving to thriving and creating a legacy that people are proud of.
Yes.
Hearts and emojis on LinkedIn. Are there no hearts and
So
emojis?
good.
I wish
know,
there
I'm
was
like, I need a reaction.
something in this piece.
Hey, I didn't mean to do that, but thank you. I
It was
appreciate
awesome.
it.
You're welcome. Barbara, is it okay if I ask a question for each of the panelists? Like, is that okay? Okay, cool. So the one thing that was coming as each of you were talking, and we're talking about redefining success from thriving to from surviving to thriving, right? And so the question I have for you, and I'll answer it first, I'll start off. But from your perspective and your journey, how have you redefined success? And what is maybe kind of one of the biggest nuggets or biggest takeaways that you can be able to, or biggest nuggets to share with the audience to support them in stepping into redefining their success? So I'll share with you for me. Okay, so I've been married 8, and we just celebrated our 8th and our 2nd wedding anniversary. So we got married on February 29th, right? So I know it sounds so weird and so crazy, but yeah, we celebrate each year. But it was definitely where it got to the point, you know how when everybody first gets together in a relationship, it's all like honeymoons and yay and all this rainbows. But there was something that happened when it was like all of a sudden I became the enemy, right? And all of a sudden he became the enemy. And I had to be able to figure out how to transition and change that. I remember these times of feeling so isolated, so alone, like going through my pregnancies alone. And one of the things that was my pivotal point was when I got pregnant with my 2nd daughter. And I was like, oh, we got to figure out a better way to change. Like, I can be forgiving. I come from this big old heart and big old expansion. But one of the things my husband, because he is so smart and so wise, he had shared, and we even turned it into a social media post. He said, what you allow will continue. What you allow will continue. And a lot of times I'll use his words back on him. Like, I didn't say that. Yes, you did. And it's so true. So I'm like, okay, what do I want to change? Right. It got to that point where, you know, I didn't recognize that not only was I a spouse, but I was also a caregiver. He almost died from several widowmaker heart attacks. And it brought up this part about life could be here today and gone tomorrow. So it's so important to make every moment count. And also recognize that it's not about the temporary, but it's about the eternal. So I also, what really helped me redefine success in this was recognizing that some battles that he was fighting were not my battles. Right? It could have been from previous stuff, previous situations. So then I can come from this unconditional love place and focus on what I can control and let God take care of what he can control. And it's my job to operate in forgiveness, to operate in aloha, to, you know, be able to really recognize that we all are called for amazing things. And so as I step into my calling and my purpose and just hold the space for that transition, it made our family much more united, because not only we're also a blended family, right? So a lot of times we're struggling with these things. And the message that I will share is that you don't have to have a great past to have a great future. You can recreate and restore yourself each and every day. So it really actually, whereas I thought that there was this burden, because I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like all these heavy emotions happening. It was actually the greatest blessing, because it showed me how to be able to practice what I teach, heal the mind, heal the heart space, be on one accord, and really be the example, and then just watch everything else change around me, right? So I want to hear from you. We'll go in the same order. What do you redefine success as? Like, what is that? And what would be that amazing wisdom that you'd want to be able to share based on your experience? Vanessa, let's start with you.
Yes, so redefining success. For me, and this is all in the context of military spouse, it has to do with moving from a dependent to independent state. And I've had these conversations and it keeps coming up more and more. So I'm realizing this is still something I'm working through, but I can help other spouses as I go through it, right? When we coach ourselves, we're coaching other people and vice versa. So I just look back at, we had a hurried marriage. I call it back end battlefield, and then babies, and then a courthouse wedding. I mean, it's all in this thing. And learning to love yourself first so you can love other people. If we can't love ourselves first, we can't love other people. So the message and my path was just having to figure this out on my own and realizing, oh my gosh, I have had this dependent ID card. I'd pull it out, but then I'd probably be revealing too much information. We all have that dependent ID. What social do we know off the top of our head? Our husband's social, right? Anywhere you call, what's this social? You're just a number. You rattle off the social, everything about that ID card. And wherever you go on if that you're dependent. What are you? I'm a dependent. And I think over time it got in my head like, I'm just like a dependent. I am just like an attachment of him, and I'm a dependent, but I don't really have my own thoughts, whatever. Like, where do I need to be? What do I need to do? You tell me where to walk, how to dress, where are we going to go see? Oh, when I can talk. Oh, don't talk to that. Oh, he's the big guy. Okay, stay away from him. Okay. I mean, whatever he said, I'm following. And now after the season of retirement, the pandemic, and we were in California by Camp Pendleton Marine Corps Base. We were running a boating ministry, taking out injured veterans for PTS, because I realized that's where my husband went for therapy, the ocean. That was his go-to. Ocean, water, paddleboard fishing for a year till he got a little disability money, and he said, can I buy a little fishing boat? I'm like, yes, please get out of the water with the sharks and into a boat. So we started bringing other families out one by one, and it was the most amazing, rewarding thing. And of course, all the negative Nellies for entrepreneurship. You're putting people on your boat. What if they slip and fall? Oh my, they're going to sue you. No, 3 years later, it was the most beautiful thing, bringing in one family after another. The beautiful cards that we get, sent us and written to us saying your family was amazing. Thank you so much for taking us out. It's the first time our family was together, and I saw all the positivity. The community started to get wrapped into it. I'm so like, somebody could drop off coffee and donuts as I'm taking a military family out, bring some sandwiches from Jimmy John's. So the community had some impact there. But as we went on, and then the ministry shut down overnight because of the pandemic, we might all have a pandemic connection here. We were recreating ourselves. We rented our house at Camp Pendleton Marine Corps Base, right off base, said, let's just rent it. We were talking about the kids are out of the house. We found a used Sprinter van. We're like, okay, this is the time. So the day they said lockdown in California was the day we passed on our keys to our tenants moving in and hopped in that van and drove off into the sunset. And people are like, what are you doing? Where are you going? I don't know. We're going to figure it out. I'd say we'll figure it out as we go. Like, there's no answer for you. And it was the scariest thing, dropping off, I think, 10 loads of junk to the thrift store, which I don't even remember now what I dropped off, because you need to let go of crap and junk to create space for something bigger and better, right? So dropping off all that junk, driving off in the Sunset in a 24-foot van, it opened up all kinds of extra opportunities for just connecting with nature and slowing down. And we realized we had never even seen America. We'd been overseas and he'd been, one tour to another. We never saw America. So we took our time and went through all those states, the national parks and state parks. And that's when I started to reinvent myself, that redefining moment. I'm setting you up here. And then it was like, Vanessa has a mind of her own. Vanessa wants to do this. Vanessa's thinking about that. I want to be a life coach. And so there's a little pushback when your whole life you're the dependent. And I'm like, I think I'm becoming independent here. And he's asking me like, why do you need to do this? And what for? And I'm like, I don't need to really explain to you. It's on my heart. And this is what I'm focusing on. And so finding that balance of becoming independent, it's led to even like writing an article. I think it was in, just got published actually, in Military Spouses, Entrepreneur Guide. Yay! I want to start focusing on the things and spending the time, places. So it's an article on the importance of alone time in a military marriage. I was so dependent, like I felt feared. I had no like sense of space and for myself. That is like, if I'm not attached to him, I'm kind of nothing. So it's like, we have to go places together. We have to do things together. And now it's like, you know what? I'm going for a walk with my friend or my client. And we're going to meet at the beach or walk here. And I'll see you in a couple hours. And this is my schedule. And he's like, what happened to my, no. So I talk about being a wallflower sometimes, some of us spouses, like we're on the wall like a wallflower. And I use this analogy, and we're peeling off the walls, we're slowly peeling off the walls in a good way, but there is some transition and there's some pushback and kickback because he's like, what's she doing? Like, why is she doing this on her own? She's not following everything that I'm doing. He loves to fish and hunt. And I love that too, but I don't need to do it 24/7. So we found a way now to be a digital nomad. We can do our traveling, but at the same time, I want to be connected to military spouses and have my impact and help the veterans. So doing this all together in a digital nomadic space, it works for us right now. But that's how I kind of, I've written stuff about the importance of alone time and finding your own things that bring you passion individually. And you're still connected to them. And actually, it's better for your marriage. Like there's statistics on all this. So you can read articles about that stuff. I'm sure Reiki and Faith Ministry can chime in more, but it took a while, and there's a little pushback and there's a little fear factor. But in the end, you're going to end up blooming. You want to bloom wherever you're planted, not just like wilting flower or stuck to the wall like wallpaper, but, get out there. And that's what I'm there to do, help other spouses, because, we still have that ID card. Maybe it says dependent, but I look at it differently now. It gets me on base to the commissary. It's a resource, but it's not defining me. And every day I'm like, I'm just the dependent, So I guess that's the takeaway. That's what I would share with others.
Thank you so much, Vanessa. That's so great. I was thinking about it actually, that independence creates a even bit better connection once they know. Like a lot of times it's difficult to be able to know who you are. But once you know who you are, then it's like, okay, here I am. And it will shift. It will shift everyone else around you, but you staying true to that, and then they'll find their way.
Mm-hmm. That's true. And it's an example and a legacy for the kids. The kids notice more now, because it used to be more like mom used to ask dad for everything. And she's like, wow, mom's doing her own thing. Mom has her own website. So that's a great, healthy thing for your kids to model, that you're not just going to be completely dependent always, on that military spouse and can't do anything without them. So legacy stuff.
Yes. Thank you so much, Vanessa, for sharing that wisdom. So awesome. Ricky, what about you? Let's hear from you.
I was laughing because Vanessa was telling every military spouse's story. I mean, when my husband and I, so we have 4 grown kids, 2 of everything they make. They're all grown and gone now and paying their own bills. A collective sigh. Yes, girls, it does happen. We used to define success as if the movers came on time, we did not pack his uniforms, and the kids got to the new place and school started on time. Success. I'm the winner. Do you know? Right? I mean, we moved all the time. And so if you got, like I said, any military spouse knows that when transportation comes, keep the uniforms out. Right? And how do we know? Mostly because we've done it once. You're like, oh crap, we packed his uniforms, and so I use success used to be getting us moved into the new duty station without a hitch. That was success. And then the second part of a success was me remembering to bring all the kids' school records and getting them registered. That was success. I mean, for real. And then the third success in that move was, oh great, I got all the beds set up. We can sleep in a bed tonight. I mean, and I love the nods because y'all know what I'm talking about. This was success. I loved what Vanessa said, because a lot of us, and I'm speaking primarily to military women, but military men, spouse men, y'all are the same thing too right now. My name used to be Sergeant Smith's wife. That was my name. I didn't have a name. And then if it wasn't Sergeant Smith's wife, it was Trey, Troy, Jordan, and Tamika's mom. That was my name. You remember this, oh, hi. Oh, you're Sergeant Smith's wife. I am. Oh, he's over here. Of course he is. Oh, Tamika's mom. We're over here. Of course we are. Oh, you're Trey's mom. I didn't have a name. My name was there. My identity was their name. I didn't have anything. Success for me was being a good representation of those names. When I went to my husband's office, to the FRG meetings, to all the things that I had to be, my job, my success in that job was, after I left, people would say, Sergeant Smith, your wife is blah, 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 blah. Winning. Or when I left the children's school, Trey, Troy, Jordan, Tamika, and mom, your mom is winning. I didn't have a name. I didn't have an identity, but that was my success. If the kids were not ashamed of me, if Fred Smith was not ashamed of me, if during the FRG, the first sergeants, captains would call me and say, oh, I heard that you can, success. All right. So that was my success then. Then as the children started to grow up and have the audacity to have their own mind and start talking back, rude, whole nother episode, I realized my identity started to shift. I was no longer, though I was Trey, Troy, Jordan, and Tamika's mom, that was no longer my identity. Why? Because another thing that military spouses do, we get a new job everywhere we go. We get a brand freaking new job every time we go. So now my new identity is new employee. Hi, I'm Ricky. I'm new here. That was my name everywhere we went. Hi, I'm Ricky. I'm new. And if you're going someplace and you're getting a new job everywhere you are, you don't know who you are because your identity has to change like the seasons. I'm the manager here. I'm the director here. I'm the undersecretary here. I am the receptionist here. Who you are depends on where you are at that time. Then things really shifted for me. Last kid left. Shock. The first kid leaves, you're like, oh my God, I'm a bad parent. I hope I put enough in them. Don't forget to eat. Wash your clothes. Mommy loves you. Bye-bye. That's the first kid. For me, the fourth kid was, sweetie, take everything. What time is your flight leaving? Let's go. We got to go. Get it. Get it. Let's go. Mommy, can I take this? Take it. I don't care. Just get in the car, So it's a little different. I was starting to become a person. At the same time, my husband retired. He was no longer Sergeant Smith and all the things that goes with that. That's a whole nother episode. So I went from being this to now, I don't even know who I am. Who am I supposed to be? What do I like? Where should I go? Where do I want to go? What do I do when I get there? Because up until then, if I went here, I was Sergeant Smith's wife. I knew what I was supposed to do. If I went here, I was Trey, Troy, Jordan, and Tamika's mom. I know what I'm supposed to do here. Now, none of those people, I don't even know what I'm supposed to do when I get there. So it took me a little bit. And you want to talk about a little transition drama? Girl, have 4 kids and have them all leave and have your husband retired and it's just you and him in the house. Hi, I'm Ricky. Tell me your name. You're super cute. We should talk. I mean, it is literally trying to reintroduce yourself to your person. Because when we met, he was in the military. I was doing something completely different at the time. I had gotten out already. I was doing something else. And I already knew this life. I knew how it was going to go. It was no drama. But I was starting to remember this. I am not going to be a non-person this time. And I love what Vanessa said, pushback. Pushback? Girl, the battle at Waterloo was less traumatic. Okay, girl. I'm just putting that out there. Because like you said, I was the anchor, my husband, and he tells us about it all the time. And I really appreciate that he appreciates what I was doing at the time. He tells people to this day, the number of deployments that he went on because of what he did, we couldn't always go with him as an air defender. So hua to all the air defense people. We couldn't always go with him. So he had to go places 6 months, 9 months, 18 months, 2 years, whatever. Guess who's at home with the 4 kids and all the things.
Mm.
Oh, yeah. And I worked full time as well. So I love it that he tells people, she made it easy for me to do what I do. And he tells everybody I had the easier job, him.
That's so good.
He had to go fight and do all the things. I had, house, cars, kids, PTA, band practice, all the things. But the transition it was slow. It was slow and it was hard and it was painful for me because I had feelings of guilt. I'm leaving them. They don't know what to do. No one can find their socks. However, it was a whole Gone with the Wind moment. Where would we go? What would we do? Well, I'm going back. It was horrifying. But we made it through. And out of that came this thing.
Nice.
And this thing is kind of cool. This thing is, I know, girl, right? This thing is smart and talented and giving and loving and caring and has neat ideas and is willing to bring folks into the fold. I didn't know she existed before. Didn't know. And where I live at in El Paso, in Spanish, it's this, yo estoy aquí. And here I am.
Yes.
Here I am. Yo estoy aquí.
Thank you so much, Ricky. That was just so amazing. And I know that a lot of people listening so connected to that, even us connected to that, right? Like that redefining. It's like so beautiful when we step into, and even as the transitions of who we are changes, but how we got to this point of being a successful entrepreneur and living our calling and our passion and being able to say, this is who I am, right? And all the things. I appreciate your wisdom. Thank you. Katie, let's hear from you. Do you remember the question?
Run through it real quick.
Okay. So the question was, how do you redefine success? Oh man, I don't even know if I remember the question, but what is your definition of success? How do you redefine that? And what would be some wisdom that you could share with the audience based on that experience, your experience?
Okay, so how much time do we have? No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
How do you define success? How do I define success? I'll be brutally honest with you. The last few months, I've really been suffering from severe depression, and to define success, and even while I was a military spouse, he would volunteer for deployments to get out of the house and be away and to do the things. So, and I sit here and I listen to all of you ladies' stories, and I can connect with a few of them, but at the same time, I'm standing here going, maybe I didn't have the appropriate military experience, because while we were a couple, I was a single woman. I was a single mom. Like I said, he would volunteer for these deployments. So for success for me for the longest time was I got out of bed and the kids got dressed. That's hooray, good for me. I suffered from depression while he was gone, because again, like Ricky said, I was carrying everything. No, I didn't have a full-time paying job. And even though I started this business 11 years ago, I was still on my own. I was the one, he would arrange, he'd start those moves and he'd arrange those things, but I was the one that did everything else. And I'm probably going to get in a little bit of trouble if this gets back to him, because, there are 2 sides to every story. Actually, I tell my kids there are 3 sides to every story: yours, mine, and the truth. So somewhere in the middle, I'm looking at this from my point of view, and I'm sure he's looking at it from his point of view. But the truth is, I was alone. I was raising the kids by myself. I had a disabled son. I was homeschooling both of them. I had the beauty of my daughter graduated high school with her associate's degree. So there was success in that, because I obviously taught her well enough that not only did she graduate high school, but she graduated with an associate's degree at the same time. Go me. My son we would go to the occupational therapists, and they would test him, and the speech therapists and the other groups that would interview him and test him for these things. And they'd ask what we'd be doing. And we'd walk through the process of homeschooling him and teaching him and helping him get into society and be be comfortable in it. He's got social phobias, autism, learning disabilities, and paranoid schizophrenia. So, we've got the big stack of the medical stuff. And his therapist would look at me and say, well, there's not a whole lot more I can do. You keep doing what you're doing. So yay me, there's another success. And I will say that, like a lot of these other ladies, there came a point where it's like, who am I? Because growing up, my dad was a pastor. So I was his daughter. And then I was my husband's wife. And then I was my kid's mom. And then I started this business, and people go, well, who are you? Wait, I have to know that too? Like, so I was in this bubble of, well, but I'm his and I'm his and I'm hers and I'm that. And okay, so what is success? Well, for me, success is I love me. Success is I like where I am. It has been a chaotic world. It has been a chaotic life. And I'm asked frequently, would you change anything? Not a thing, because I wouldn't be who I am today. Success for me is looking in the mirror and smiling and saying, today's okay. Even if it's a failure, I'm still me. And what can we learn from this? If it's a success, okay, I'm still me. What can I learn from this? That's what success is for me, is confidence in who I am, confidence in why I'm doing this, and confidence that no matter what happens, I still love me. And I tell people all the time, has anybody said to you lately just how awesome you are? Because you're friggin' awesome. And then my other favorite thing is it feels really good to get lost in the right direction. Everybody talks about going from point A to point B. With a disabled son, our point A and point B is not a straight line. Our point A and B is like, oh, here we go. Did you get there? Oh, I don't know, but it was fun on the way, right? So, and I love everybody's definition of success, but I also want to reinforce the fact that the definition of success is as individual as each of us are. And so whether you measure it against me, you measure it against Vanessa or Heather or Barbara or Ricky, it doesn't matter. You have to measure your level of success on where you were yesterday. Have you even taken an inch forward? That is success. So yeah, I'm gonna drop the mic again. So
cut my finger the other day, so I'm trying to snap. But thank you so much, Katie. I mean, see, and this is, I'm hoping for all of the people listening, this was the beauty of why I brought Katie on, because Katie's story connects so well. One of the things a lot of people didn't know is that, of course, I became the enemy, right? And then all of a sudden I was like a total enemy, so much so that it was like causing a push away. So my husband actually left when I was 3 months pregnant with my second child, 9 days before my training. And the message in that was like total devastation. Like in this journey, it was like the worst heartache ever, right? And what God was teaching me in that was not just about it's coming from this place of unconditional love, but being able to know that it's safe to be me, right? And to figure out who I am. So every single thing that happens, whether you're together with your spouse, whether you're not, we're back together now. It's been a beautiful, amazing reunion, and much at a better level because we had to really be able to appreciate. But the biggest thing is that it is about owning that, figuring out what that essence is in you. So every single thing that you go through, everything that we go through, a lot of times we can think that it happened to me. Like I know for me, I was totally that, what in the world? Like I remember just getting out of the bed was a success, right? Just getting the kids to school or to daycare was a success, right? But here's the beauty for it. It was like, what is it in me that is calling to be able to come up, to be able to be released, to step into the amazingness of who I am? And then once I owned that, everything else changed, right? Even the perception of what is going on and how it could be. So everything is happening for you. For those of you who are listening, who maybe going through some craziness or difficult times. And when you figure out what is the message in the mess, and you get the learning, then you step into you letting your light shine no matter where people are. It's like owning all of that. So thank you so much for being able to share your story. And I want to hear from Barbara. Barbara, you were also, thank you so much for holding the space and listening to us and all of this. But tell us about your perception of redefining success, and especially as a military spouse too.
Yeah, my husband was Army, and was not combat, but he was support and he was intelligence. He had like the top secret clearance, and it never really. I never thought of it, to tell you the truth. Except one time, my sister called up and she said, "Barb, we're going to go to Cuba." And I went, "Oh, that sounds great." Well, I came home to David and said, "David, we're going to go to Cuba." He said, "Yeah, I'm not going to Cuba. Neither are you." And I went, "But why not?" He said, "Because I am ex-military and I have top secret clearance. And most of the stuff probably that I know is not classified anymore, but we're not taking that chance. And I'm not going, and neither are you." Oh, okay. And you never think anything of it. And so then I was like, "Oh, okay." But then but when he got sick, we dealt with the VA and doing all of those things. And then when he passed away, we had a military funeral. And but then when I woke up from my widow's fog, I realized that I had no idea of who I was outside of all the labels that I had put on myself. When we've talked about it, I was a daughter, and then I was my father's daughter, my children, my first husband's wife, then my children's mother. Well, then I was a divorced failure, but then I was a successful wife again, and I was an ex-military wife, and then I was a grandmother and a business owner, and now I'm a widow. Who is Barbara within all of that? And it was we've all talked about, it was the scariest moment of my life. I had no idea, but I knew I had to find out. And that started my journey. And now it's been such a blessing to work with late career business professionals who are now facing retirement, and they have no idea of who they are outside of their job title, their job description, or their body is falling apart from the stress, or they don't have enough money to retire on. What am I going to do? And it has just been such a journey for me. And now I redefine success when I can help someone else find their definition of success.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, that is so awesome. When they can get in touch with who they are, of who they are within what they're doing. Because so often so many people, they define who they are by their label or their job description or their job title, and not who they are. So, and do you like you? Get in touch with you. Feel the heat. I love that song by Whitney Houston. I want to dance with somebody. Dance with yourself. Feel the heat with yourself of who you are, what you're passionate about, what you are just absolutely in love with you. Because I think it was Katie that said, or maybe it was Vanessa that said, you can't love somebody else if you don't love yourself.
Yeah.
You can't do that. So yeah, exactly. So that's where I'm at. And that's how I define success now.
Oh my goodness, that's so good. This is one of the reasons why for those, I didn't share with you, like my background is actually in IT. And I used to be a civilian for the Army as an intelligence technologies researcher. And I left the military to go in higher education, ended up marrying the military. I was in a book called Her War II because it's like I couldn't get away from the military, only to love it, right? And recognize that it has advantages and disadvantages, But the part that you had just shared about owning and falling in love with you, it's so this is why I love coaching so much. We're bringing a forefront to the awareness of the power of coaching. We're actually in the process of doing the second book collaboration, making another international bestseller, and doing a virtual summit because coaching saves lives. I know for me, it saved my life. I had amazing support, not only in the heavens above, but also here on the earth to be able to help pull me and hold the space for me to step into and walk into where I am. And I love being able to do that for other people. So it's my desire to even let coaching be a household name, like even more so than therapy. right? And one of the things that a lot of people would ask me is, well, so my son, he's 10 years old. I've been raising him since he was 1.5 years. He loves the pushback. They're at that age where they like the debate and all this. And he's like, so mom, you're a therapist. I say, no, I do coaching. He's like, oh, same thing you do. I say, no, let me tell you the difference. Okay. Cause I need you to be able to understand this. This is a legacy that will be passed down to you. And you're going to be able to do this if you desire to help people with empowerment in the future. Coaching is about bridging the gap from where you are to where you want to be. And therapy is about helping people heal from the traumas and the significant emotional events that's happened in the past to become in the present. And I said, but you know what? The best coaches know how to help people with the past, present, and future. So therefore, they get their breakthroughs much faster, right? And I was like, and that's who mommy is. He's like, okay, that sounds good, right? So it is really about no matter who you think you are. It doesn't matter where you've been, what you've done, what has happened. You are so much more than that. And we're all called for amazing and wonderful things, each and every single one of us, right? And this is where we can be able to come from this oneness. Like I love talking about oneness because sometimes people will think, and this is what we talked about here, like the titles. So for example, I went from Dr. Heather Holden, right? And then I get married and I'm like, all my stuff is in my maiden name. What in the world? And I redefine myself, right? So we can get caught up in all the titles. But here's the beautiful thing. There is a uniqueness and a greatness and a wisdom in every single person. And this is why we're bringing this to the forefront, especially for those of you who are trying to figure out what this new you is. Definitely be able to reach out to us. We would love to support you on your journey.
Right. And this is the power of live. Wrong banners go up, and it's like, oh, well, you can't do anything about it. So Heather, and then exactly, I would just really encourage everybody to get in touch. So now can continue. Let's do some final words of wisdom.
Final words of wisdom. For those of you who maybe, and this is one of the reasons why I talk about business and life harmony, and hopefully you can highlight and see the part of what I talk about this, because a lot of times it's the life stuff that can get in the way of our consistent and enjoying the passion in business. But you're called for peace on all sides. So regardless of where you are relationally, maybe you've been married a couple times, maybe you're going through a separation, maybe you've been divorced, it does not matter where you are. Know that the best relationships come when you strengthen your relationship with God, whatever that means for you, and allow that to override and strengthen the relationship with yourself. And then every single relationship, both external, like intimate, even in your community, they just shine. And you're able to see people and have peace where you're at, and also be able to see and help people have peace where they are too. So you don't have to have a great past to have a great future. You can recreate and restore yourselves each and every day, just like each and every one of us on this call has. And make sure you go to my website, anotherlevelliving.com, and get your 7 secrets to more business and life harmony. Also schedule your clarity call with me. It's all right there. Look forward to seeing you soon. Let's hear from you, Vanessa. What's your biggest takeaway, last nuggets, things you want to leave us with today? Unmute.
I'm already out of the program. Sorry. Yeah. Before I go into the last takeaway, I have to piggyback on what you were talking about, the difference between therapy and coaching. And it reminds me of a year or two ago, we were on the ski slopes having a family vacation, and it was probably a year ago. And my son was on this stretch with me. I was usually the last one. I'm mom in the back. By the end, I'm like, I'll be having a hot toddy down at the bottom because I can't keep up with you all. But anyway, we're doing the ski slopes. And there was this kid that was having trouble on his snowboard, and he was sliding down that mountain. He wasn't really even moving around now. He was just sliding down and just looking discouraged. And I happened to be taking a break right there on my skis. And I'm like, how are you? He's like, I can't get up on this, snowboard here. This is so frustrating. I've been trying. And I'm like, you'll get it. You'll get it. Just keep trying, just keep sliding down, just one curve at a time. And I just encouraged him a little bit. I barely know how to ski, but I was on my 2 skis, at least standing up, not on my butt yet. So, and then my son was nearby and he came up and after the kid got up and got motivated and got like a little light in him and went on, he said, Mom, is that what you do? Is that coaching? So it was pretty cool because he was stuck where he was at and I was helping him just move on to get on where he needed to go. So there's my little analogy for coaching. And it's so rewarding when you see someone take off like that, right? Isn't that the most rewarding thing? So, but what I'll leave you with for the last nugget is talking to mainly military spouses, since that's the world I work in. That's the world. If I have a group coaching program, everything is like group coaching. We can all get together, hear each other, support each other, empower each other, encourage each other, just like I'm sure Dr. Heather Tucker does as well. But if you're in that space where you're having Katie mentioned depression, or if you're feeling like a victim or having like a pity party. I had some pity parties myself with 8 deployments. It was a lot of, well, poor me, poor me, poor me. And he has this, they get the husband home. I don't get, whoa, that is like a negative funk thing to go down into. So I agree with Dr. Heather, put God at the top of everything. I mean, it's in my book. If like without the faith, this marriage probably would not have lasted. I do this image with a triangle. And this is God at the top, and man, woman. Like it takes both of us and we both have to be humble and get selfless sometimes and put God at the top. So there's my triangle image. But if you get out of that pity party, a way to do that is to look in your own community where you're living and volunteer someplace. When the power of volunteering and when you're pouring into someone else that might be struggling in a different way takes off all that negativity that, your life isn't all set up the way you wanted right now and you're having some issues. So I would invite you to look at what you like doing, whether it could be an arts program, it could be, craftiness. It could be like, for me, I found the Military Heritage Museum down the road in Punta Gorda. It has been so much fun volunteering there. I'm in a space with my people. I get to talk to these veterans. I talked to a 91-year-old vet the other day who's been married 70-something years, and he was a radio control guy. I got to have him on my own. I mean, incredible people. He's still married. They even had a van, so we can have the connection with the van life. So when you spend your time volunteering, I've done like soup kitchens or food pantries. When you spend your time volunteering with other people, helping them with what they're going through, it takes off all that negative stuff that you're going through, and it just helps you. It helps you relate better. It helps you to love yourself better. It helps you to get out of that mindset and get out of that depressed state, that victimhood state. So I'll leave the audience with that. If you're in that situation, go there. And to find me, you can go to resetwithvanessa.com. That's where all my socials live, resetwithvanessa.com. And I'm happy to give complimentary VA disability claim audits for any veterans out there that are struggling with the VA on their own and taking like the 5 to 7 year plan. And you want to pick that up to like maybe the 4 to 5 month plan with your disability. If we can help you, can't help everybody, but we'll at least do our due diligence and check out your case, check out your rating, and see if we can be of service that way, because that money is for you. It's for each veteran. It's not like my buddy needs it more, I'm not as hurt. No, from boot camp to the grave is the way they explained to me. Money has been set aside for each veteran. So if it's owed for you, use it, because it's just sitting there in a pot. So let's see if we can help you with that. And if you want to add your dream with van lifing, you don't have to be a total gypsy like me and go full-time living in the middle of the boondocks. You can do part-time, you can do seasonal. There's different ways to pepper in how van life looks for you. But I get people all the time, oh, I've thought about doing the van life. Oh, I think I could. And if you've got a remote job, like, hello, talk to me. Let's make it happen and get you out there on the road into nature so you can do what you're doing, but add some nature and spirituality touch with it. So I'm Vanessa with Your Life Beyond the Military and resetwithvanessa.com. Thank you for having me.
Vanessa. Yes, thank you so much for sharing. So awesome, right? Because, that's one of the biggest things that's common across the board with everyone, quality time in nature. It feeds everyone's soul, right? So, so appreciate you sharing that.
My tagline, charge your soul, not just your cell phone. So I'll leave you with that.
Perfect. All right, thank you, Vanessa. Let's hear from Ricky. Ricky, what are your final words, and where can we learn more about you and all that good stuff?
I can't stop laughing at Vanessa because all I see is me and my husband in a van. Yeah, what could possibly go wrong? Anyway, so here's my last thing for anybody. I'm a public speaker and I'm a public speaking coach. To that, I say this. You are what enough looks like. Stand in the mirror. Tell yourself You are what enough looks like. Everybody's different, but you are special. The next thing I would say is you're not broken. You don't need to be fixed. All right. This is stuff. Stop listening to the crap that someone told you 10,000 years ago and believing the experiences that you've had make you who you are. No, they contribute to the awesomeness that you're planning to be, but you're not broken and you don't need to be fixed. All that being said, if you want to learn more about me and public speaking and all the fun stuff, go over to my website at www.stratustrains.com. There is a free download of 5 public speaking tips. And let me tell you why public speaking matters, because you need to be an advocate. If you cannot, with a pithy way, articulate what you want, what you need, and what you expect, you're going to get everything outside of that. You're not going to be happy. You're going to be mad every day. And you'll be the one laying in bed going, I should have said this. I would have said this, but you didn't because you didn't. Learn how and be a good advocate for yourself, because remember, you are what enough looks like. Thank y'all.
So good. Thank you so much, Ricky. Wow. Perfect wisdom. Perfect wisdom. All right, Katie, let's hear from you.
Yeah. I don't know. Final. I'm just in awe. You did a great job of bringing together some amazing women who have such wisdom and such fire, and I love it, and I'm thrilled to be included in this. 12-year-old brain. I'm just going to say this. You have to have fun. You have to find a way to laugh at the situation, whether it's 5 years later or 10 minutes later. You have to have fun. And I shared this before we even started the call. I cosplay, which is costume play for adults. It's Halloween at comic conventions, and I do it with my son. And the best part of it is, for a couple hours when we go to these conventions, I get to be somebody else while I'm still being me. And for me, it's a passion. And it's one of the things that I convey to my clients is make sure that you have a passion for what you're doing. And she put my website down there. It's omnimediadesigns.com/let's-connect. Schedule a time with me if you want to, just hang out and laugh and have some fun. Schedule a time with me if you want to figure out how to take your passion a little bit further and start making money from it. There's also a place there where you can download. It's an entire booklet, an ebook with questions and answers, or questions and spaces for you to answer about how you can turn your passion into a profit, how you can decide whether or not your passion is enough to make money. And let me drop the little secret here. It is. And if you're not sure how to do that, Ricky and I have known each other for 1.5 years now. I have helped her through a whole bunch of other stuff. I've helped my other clients. It's all about deciding not just what your passion is, but how to make it accessible for the people around you. Because the truth of the matter is, you have a solution that somebody is looking for. You have a solution that somebody is looking for. Your passion is going to help someone else. So whatever it might be, go for it, and go for it with everything you have. Don't slow down. Don't stop. Don't listen to everybody else. Fight for it, live for it, enjoy it.
Oh, so good. So good. It's really that part about, if you were called to entrepreneurship, right? You're called to this passion. The victory is already yours. It's just about walking in it, right? And then you have such amazing opportunities for it to be able to connect with us so we can show you the way. Barbara, thank you so much for blessing us with this time. I mean, I think the last thing I want to share too is that by us sharing our story with you, and we're hoping that it inspired, it encouraged you. It also maybe will give you permission to share your story too, because there is a wisdom and a greatness in your story. By someone hearing your story, hopefully, by you hearing our stories, you see inspiration, you see motivation, you see what's possible. And this just scratches the surface of the wisdom that we're sharing today. So it's time for y'all to step into your story too.
Right. Heather, thank you so much. And ladies, this was absolutely an amazing panel. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. And audience, I just thank you for tuning in. If you know of somebody that could benefit from this, please make sure you share it out. share it out, because you know what, I have found for myself that this is one of the things that so many people are not talking about. They're not talking about it for whatever reason. And you know what? The more we talk about it, the more we can grow together. And so many people now have said that 2024 is the year of the woman, and this decade is the decade of the women, that we will raise up and raise each other up, and we will all flourish and grow and just find that thing that makes your heart sing, that so that you can go from striving to thriving. Redefine your success today, and know that you can do it and you're not alone. So thanks again, everybody, for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Barbara.
Bye.